Mr. President,
Senator from Vermont.
I want to thank Senators Begich, Blumenthal, Bennett, and Merkley for co-sponsoring this legislation, as well as many environmental and food organizations all over this country. The concept that we are talking about today is a fairly common sense and non-radical idea. All over the world, in the European Union, in many other countries around the world, dozens and dozens of countries, people are able to look at the food that they are buying and determine through labeling whether or not that product contains genetically modified organisms. That's what the issue is. In the state of Vermont, our legislature voted overwhelmingly for labeling in the state. The state Senate in Connecticut, by an almost unanimous vote, did the same. All over this country, states are considering this issue. One of the concerns that arises when a state goes forward is large biotech companies like Monsanto suggest that states do not have the constitutional right to go forward, that they're preempting federal authority. This bill makes it very clear that states can go forward, and I would appreciate my colleagues' support for it.
Senator from Michigan.
First, Mr. President, before discussing the amendment, I think it's important to note that this is not germane to the Farm Bill, and food labeling is properly subject to the jurisdiction of the Health Committee, and therefore Senator Harkin opposes the amendment. I, too, while I appreciate very much the advocacy of Senator Sanders on so many different issues, I do believe that this particular amendment would interfere with the FDA's science-based process to determine what food labeling is necessary for consumers. It's also important to note that around the world now, we are seeing genetically modified crops that have the ability to resist crop diseases and improve nutritional content and survive drought conditions. In many developing countries, we see wonderful work being done by foundations like the Gates Foundation and others that are using new techniques to be able to feed hungry people. I believe we must rely on the FDA's science-based examination before we make conclusions about food ingredients derived from genetically modified foods. They currently do not require special labeling because they've determined that food content of these ingredients does not materially differ from their conventional counterparts. So I would urge a no vote. Thank you, Mr. President.
The question is on the amendment.